Welcome to Dude on Air, the show giving you the latest and best of Hollywood. We're talking movies, TV, and everything in between. Here's your host, Gerald Yelverton. Lights, camera, action. Hey guys, welcome to Dude on Air. I'm your host, Gerald Yelverton, and this is the show where we talk about movies, life, and everything in between. Today we are talking about movies, and we're reviewing The Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1, the next installment in the Hunger Games saga. Now, this is I believe, the third book. It's a 3-book series. Like a lot of book series, they're splitting the last movie into multiple films. So there's going to be Mockingjay Part 1, Mockingjay Part 2 coming out next year. Much the same way they did Harry Potter and Twilight and even The Hobbit. They broke that one book into 3 parts. So yeah, I'm going to be reviewing this movie. So basically, this is when Katniss destroys the games at the end of Catching Fire. She goes to District 13 after 12 is destroyed. She meets President Coin, who convinces her to be the symbol of the rebellion while trying to save Peeta from the Capitol. This movie is directed by Francis Lawrence and stars the very talented cast of Jennifer Lawrence as Katniss Everdeen, Josh Hutcherson as Peeta, Liam Hemsworth as Gale. Then you have Woody Harrelson, Donald Sutherland, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Julianne Moore, and Elizabeth Banks, Sam Claflin, Jenna Malone, Jeffrey Wright, Stanley Tucci, and others. This is a stacked cast. They add a lot of characters to this one. You really get to know more people. Good film, really good film. So much in fact that on the day it came out, I saw this movie 3 times. Really good. The first Hunger Games movie I saw in the theater, and I was like, oh, that's actually really good, because it was around the time of, I think the last Twilight movie had just come out, or it was just coming out. And this is another young adult story. I have not read the books. Twilight's interesting because I was not a fan of the first movie. I was a big fan of the second movie, and then I watched the subsequent movies, and they were good. It kept me coming back, and I kept seeing them. But I didn't think the acting was that great. I thought the story, there was not as much action and as much conflict as I thought was advertised. Even that love triangle in that movie that was advertised, at the end of the story, you realize that it was never really a love triangle. Whereas this Hunger Games movies, it's all in all, it's just a better story. It is a far more superb story. And the story is really interesting. And that first Hunger Games movie, when they went to the Hunger Games, like, the action was great. The acting is great. The characters seemed well defined. It was really, really good. It really brought me in. So much so that I went and I saw like the midnight showing of Catching Fire. And that movie was even better than the first movie. So I am all in, invested in these characters. So in this one, it starts off where at the end of the second Hunger Games, where Katniss, she destroyed the whole dome that it was in, and now the rebellion starts. And so now it's her being persuaded to be the face of the rebellion. She's being persuaded by like Woody Harrelson, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Julianne Moore, who plays President Coin, president of District 13, and kind of the overall the overall voice and head of this rebellion against the Capitol. And they're trying to convince Katniss to be the symbol, to be the Mockingjay, to be the face of the rebellion that they're trying to sell. And so the whole movie is about, them shooting these, what are they called? Like these propagandist type of commercials and films to really get the other districts involved in this rebellion. That way they can go take over the Capitol. And the whole time, like, Donald Sutherland and the Capitol are fighting back and trying to crush this impending rebellion. And one of the big point of the story is that you remember Josh Hutcherson, who plays PETA, and Jenna Malone, who plays Johanna. They were left, in the field, in the dome, in the games, and so, PETA is in the Capitol, and like the Capitol is making their own kind of propagandist films against the rebellion, and they have PETA as the head symbol of that. So it's really good. There's no games in this movie. The games are over. So though it is the Hunger Games, like, you're not going to go back into that kind of battle royale type of atmosphere. This is more of a war film, more of a leading up to what I imagine is going to be a pretty big war in part 2. But it's it's a really, really good movie. You see more of the character in Katniss. Like she stepped up and she volunteered for the first games. She got sent back in for the second games, just kind of despite. And so, on camera and things, she seems like this really, really like fierce and brave and, like a warrior. And that's how they kind of portrayed her, when she was in interviews with Stanley Tucci and seeing her in the games and stuff like that. But we as the audience, knowing like her background, she's not really that, warrior. She does things because, she has to, and it's survival. And we know that she's really reluctant the entire time to even be in it. And she's being coached all the way. And PETA is more of like the brave one. He's just, kind of quiet, but they kind of cast him into these roles. So now that PETA's gone, and now like, the president and Philip Seymour Hoffman, and they all want her to be, the face of the rebellion. She's not that character. She's not that heroic. And this is us seeing like her journey to becoming that. But the whole time she's just a girl who can shoot a bow and arrow. So it's really a cool character depiction, and having to step up when you're not play the person, and maybe the person who would have been the better pick is PETA. One cool thing about this movie is you get to see more of Liam Hemsworth and as Gale, who's kind of like the other part of this love triangle, and you kind of see his journey and the things that he's going to, and how he's been shaped because he was there when District 12 is destroyed and had to live through Katniss going through the games twice, and so you see like how he is shaped he got whipped, so he's all about this rebellion. He turns into like this soldier, and Katniss is kind of whipped into this whole other life. So that's Jennifer Lawrence does a great job as Katniss Everdeen. She's a phenomenal actress, and she does a lot by just her look and things like that, and her facial expressions. Josh Hutcherson is not in the movie as PETA that often, but his role is very, very critical, with seeing like the videos of him and his changing form, and it kind of gets into at the end when the president orders this mission to go in and kind of save the other winners of the games, the other survivors of the games that were held captive in the Capitol, and then he comes out and he's been brainwashed to kill Katniss, and that's kind of where the movie ends at right here. So he's only in it for maybe a whole total of maybe 15 minutes, through sporadic throughout the different scenes. But I think his character is really awesome, and I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm not going to read the books. I want to see it in movie form. So I'm highly anticipating what happens next. Like I said, Liam Hemsworth, he's on all the pictures and stuff, and he's been. I don't know if in the book there's more of him in the first two books than they showed in the movies, but now you finally get to see his character and kind of what he means to Katniss and that relationship. Woody Harrelson is great as Haymitch, kind of guiding Katniss through this journey along with Elizabeth Banks as Effie, and you really see the the relationship there, and it's good. Donald Sutherland. Is there another actor in Hollywood right now who can play as devious and as evil as Donald Sutherland? Because in a lot of these movies, he plays that President Snow type of character, and in this movie, he's pretty scary. He's pretty deviant, and you find out more about him and his background through other characters. And this guy he's just a great villain. He's a great villainous character. Philip Seymour Hoffman as Bluetart. Really the guy who is in District 13, but he's there trying to persuade President Coin that Katniss is the one. He does a great job, and I mean, I guess he shot most of it. He wrapped up or shot most of his scenes for these next two Hunger Games movies before he passed away. So, but it's really good. It's Philip Seymour Hoffman at one of his best. Julianne Moore is President Coin. Julianne Moore is great, and she is totally deserving of all the credit that she's getting for Still Alice and this movie and things like that. She's having a great year. She plays this great character where she's just very, very strong, and she's all about this rebellion. And she's a leader, not only a leader as far as you see her speeches and the political side of things, but even as a commander-in-chief of the army, she's great. Willow Shields plays Katniss Everdeen's little sister, and she's in this movie more. It's great. One thing about the movie that I would have liked to see more of was Finnick. Sam Claflin as Finnick. He's not in this movie that often. I mean, he's always there, but they made such a big deal of him in Catching Fire, and he seemed like this heroic, very arrogant character, and then in this movie, he's kind of reduced to kind of this lovesick, depressed guy. He has this one long monologue where he's talking about how in the Capitol, he was almost prostituted out because he was one of the winners, one of the survivors, and he talks about how if you are that kind of person and you're good looking, then the president kind of pimps you out, and that's how he got secrets, and he knows secrets about the president and stuff like that. But he was not that kind of heroic character. In Catching Fire, the way his character was portrayed there, he seems like he would have been, in this movie, he would have been portrayed more of the way Liam Hemsworth's character Gale was, that soldier, and he's ready to go do it. But he kind of seems broken in this. Elizabeth Banks as Effie Trinket. She's really funny, and now she was in the Capitol and she was all about her fashion, and now she's literally kind of in this bunker in District 13, and her interaction is really funny. There's this actor, his name is Mahershala Ali, plays Boggs, which is the soldier. He's really cool. Jeffrey Wright, who's Beatty. Remember, he was the guy in the games who was the science guy, and he was the whole electricity and building stuff. He plays a critical role, and now he's kind of the guy who builds the weapons for this rebellion. So he's kind of remember Lucius Fox in Batman, Morgan Freeman in Batman, who would build the weapons for Batman. He's kind of that same character now for Katniss Everdeen. So it's kind of a super team of these survivors. Jenna Malone as Johanna Mason, not in this film really at all. She's in the film for maybe 25 seconds, if that, because she was stuck in the game, so she's in the Capitol for most of the movie. But when you see her, it's powerful. You see how gaunt she is, and she's obviously been through a life. She has these black eyes, so she's been beaten in the Capitol, and then towards at the end of the movie where it kind of splits off, that's when you see her. Stanley Tucci as Cesar Flickerman. I love his character here. He's the kind of the voice of the games. He's kind of the Bob Costas during the Olympics. How he has all the the interviews and stuff like that. That's who Caesar is, and he's great in this one again. And his whole, all of his scenes are with PETA. So he's the one who interviews PETA, and it's kind of like this propagandist, getting the message of the Capitol over. So like I said, this whole movie is about shooting propagandist videos. So then Katniss is introduced to like this film team that's going around with her, as she goes into the different districts and the different battles and showing the districts really like the lack of respect and destruction that the Capitol inflicts upon the different districts. And so she gets this team, and this, the director is this character named Cressida, who's Natalie Dormer, played by Natalie Dormer, and then the other team, her team around her, is acted by like Evan Ross, who's Diana Ross's son. He was also in like 90210, the new 90210, and I think right now he's married to Ashley Simpson. He just got married. And then Eldon Henson, who is he plays this character named Pollux, and he's kind of like a mute because he had his tongue cut out by the Capitol. And you remember him because he was Fulton Reed in the Mighty Ducks movies. And then also Wes Chatham is Castor. And then it's rounded up by this host of other characters, but it's good. There's a lot of action, there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of background because I guess they're leading up to everything that's going to happen, and so the information that they're giving you in this movie is really good. But it reminded me of Snowpiercer, where it's kind of like this. It's this economic and cultural divide and social divide between the haves and the have-nots, and this is all about the have-nots and everything that they go through, and now they're trying to overtake the Capitol. They're trying to get to that first train, like in Snowpiercer. Very similar movies. I definitely recommend it. If you haven't seen it by now, you should go out and see this. This is definitely a movie. You don't want to just jump in and see this movie. I mean, you could, but you really want to see the first movie, the second movie, because it's really going to give you the background information that you need to understand why these characters are the way they are and what they've been through. And you need to see the whole relationship between Katniss and PETA to appreciate what's going on in this movie and to really understand, who they're trying to get back, why they're trying to get them, what happened in the games, and everything like leads up into this point. Great movie. I'm gonna give this movie like a 4.5 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Great movie. You should definitely go see it. It's very mature, and for like a young adult movie, it's awesome. Suzanne Collins is the author of the books, and you can see like how with these movies coming out, I can see how these movies get more mature as the audience, and their demographic, these like high school, college age kids, and even like young adults. Every year, every movie gets a little bit more mature, and it comes out year after year. So by the time that last movie comes out, that's 4 years that these kids would have grown. So if you're a freshman, now you're a senior or you're in college, and it's good. It's great. There's no comparison to Twilight or these other like Divergent or these other young adult movies coming out. This is the movie, and they're not even young adult movies. These are great action sci-fi adventure films. Great film. 4.5 out of 5. So yeah. But what I really want to know is, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What do you think of the movie? What do you think of the casting, the characters that you saw, the characters you didn't see? What are you anticipating in the final story? Like I said, I haven't read the books, so I'm living through this, and the first time I see it is with these films. So what do you think? Comment below. Let me know what you thought. Yeah, give me your feedback. Also, I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button. If you hit the subscribe button, you'll know exactly when our next episodes drop. We're trying to do this daily with movie reviews, trailer reviews, interviews coming up. There's a lot going on. I want you to be part of it. You can hit the subscribe button. You can hit the subscribe button here on YouTube. You can hit it here on iTunes or in Stitcher Radio. So it goes right to your feed, right to your podcast, whatever you have. It'll go right there. My name is Gerald Yelverton. Thank you for listening to Dude on Air. And until next time, you guys, Totally. Thanks for being awesome. You've been listening to Dude on Air. For more talk on movies, TV, and everything in between, hit the subscribe button, available on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher Radio. For Gerald and the Dude on Air crew, thanks for being awesome.